Okay guys, now whether you finished your table or not, I want you to have a look up here. So we're going to tweak it a bit. So on this table, it's fairly similar to the previous table, but there's something going on here with Aston Villa and something going on here with the Blackburn Rovers strip. And what's going on here is that the wall between this cell and this cell has been broken down. And this cell is now spanning across 2 rows. That's what we call it. So the row span of that cell is 2 now. Normally it would be 1, but spanning across 2 rows. And here you can see that this cell here has expanded into the cell underneath it. And this cell's row span is 2. Did I say row span up here as well? Or did I say col span? Did I say row span? Okay. Right. Bound to do it wrong. No. So the column span here, this cell here is spanning across 2 columns. So Aston Villa is spanning across 2 columns. Normally it would be just 1. But it's spanning across 2 columns. Its col span is 2 instead of 1. And this cell here is spanning across 2 rows. You see what's going on there? So let's have a look at the HTML for that. So the first row is fairly straightforward. There's nothing going on there that we haven't already seen. You've your TD, Arsenal, the Gunners, Highbury. And then if we look here in the next row, it starts off the same, and the first cell is the same as you would expect. And then here we're saying TD col span equals 2. Now look where that is. That's inside in the TD tag. It's part of the tag. It's in there as an attribute of that TD tag. It's saying TD col span equals 2, which means that cell there then is going to span across 2 columns instead of just the 1. Okay, and then we've Aston Villa slash TD. And then we've TD, Villa Park slash TD, and then slash TR to end the row. So that's not too bad there. You get the idea? So you could see how you might use this for a double class. If you're going 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 across the top of your page, then you could probably use a col span equals 2 for those double classes. However, if your 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 is down the side of the table and you've Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday across the top, well then col span won't do for you. You need the row span. So let's have a look at this row here. So we start off with a TR for the row. And then we're saying TD row span equals 2. So we're saying that this cell here spans across 2 rows rather than just the 1. And then we have the image tag as before and slash TD. And then we've TD, Blackburn Rovers, TD, Rovers, TD, Ewood Park, slash TD, slash TR will end that row. So far so good? Kind of makes sense? No, this next part is where people trip up actually. This next row then, what do you do with the cell that would have been there? Well, you leave it out. So this row here has only got 3 cells. You say TR to start the row, then we've got TD for Bolton Wanderers. So we go straight to Bolton Wanderers. then we've slash TD, TD the Trotters, slash TD, TD Reebok Stadium, slash TD, and then slash TR to end the row. So when people use row span, very often they do the row that has the row span correctly, but it screws up underneath because they haven't accounted for the hole. Now, one very important point, and some people when they were doing their pages there were a bit concerned about the widths of the rows and stuff, and they weren't happy with the widths. You specify the contents of the table. You specify the contents of the cells, and then you let the browser do its thing. Okay? Typically what the browser does is it looks at the longest line in each column, and then it will assign the columns proportional widths based on those. Sometimes cells may have, like a wide cell may appear to be very wide in the table. Okay, it's still only one cell. Like here, what we're saying is we have like an apartment block, and we're knocking the wall between this room and this room to make a double-sized, a 2 rooms room out of 1. But there may be other way big rooms in the same building that are still only 1 room. We're talking about how many cells it is. We're not saying anything about the actual physical size. That's a whole other thing. So sometimes people get confused with that. Looking at your faces, I think you weren't confused before and you are now. But we're just talking about the structure of the table. And we don't give too much thought to how that actually pans out in terms of actual widths. So like here, for example, this particular cell has got lots and lots and lots of stuff in it, so that makes that column wider. But like this is a col span of 1, this is a col span of 1, this is a col span of 1, and this is a col span of 1. They're all only 1 each. The fact that this is about 1/4 the size of this, that this one here is 4 times bigger, that doesn't mean it's got a col span of 4. We're not saying anything about the actual sizes. We're just saying how many rooms worth we're taking up. So this here, that one I've highlighted, that's still only a col span of 1. It just happens to be wider than the others, but it's still only 1 column. It's still only 1 room. It just happens to be a very big room. This happens to be a small room by comparison. But this is a room, and this is a room, and this is 1 room, and this is 1 room. Col span of 1, col span of 1, col span equals 1, col span equals 1. This col span here is 2. Just 2. It looks like it might be 4 or 5 times bigger than this one, but it's still just a col span of 2. When we use col span and row span, we're talking about knocking walls between the cells and expanding the cell out. We're saying nothing about the actual size of the cell, and that's important. That can cause a lot of confusion. If you have a cell with nothing in it in your timetable for hours where you have no class, it's best to just say TD and then slash TD rather than say nothing or empty or something. Or even rather than putting in a space in there, just put nothing in there, because tomorrow we're actually going to do something kind of interesting with that. So see now if you can modify your table so that it accounts for double classes. If you had the good fortune to do 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 across the top, you're talking about using col spans. If you've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday across the top, and 9, 10, 11, 12 down the side, then you'll need to be doing row spans. And just make sure that when you do the row span equals 2, you account for that in the row underneath so that it doesn't push everything out 1. Any questions? You sure? Yes. Okay. Oh yeah, I'll come down to you in a sec. Yeah. Any?
So we have to make like every cell bigger, just make the table bigger.
Well, I'm just using the control plus key here. It makes the text bigger, which makes the table bigger.
Oh yeah, but like
But-
say if you want to display a figure in every row, not just
Well, the table will typically accommodate the contents. I mean, the table is, of course, constrained by the size of the page. And and then it'll typically expand so that all of the contents will fit in. So if you make the contents bigger in some way, then the table cells will be bigger. You can, of course, also specify an actual size for the cells. But maybe you're better off specifying the size of the stuff in it, and then the table do its magic. Any other questions?